Meeting is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Brivich. I'm General Counsel for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. In here in the boardroom with me today are Commission Vice President Cynthia McLean-Hill, Commissioner Reyes, General Manager and Chief Engineer Marty Adams, and the Board Secretary and essential staff. Pursuant to Governor Newsom's March 17th order, the remaining commissioners are appearing remotely. Also pursuant to that order, we will be taking public comment via phone. Members of the public wishing to offer public comment may call 213-306-3065. Let me repeat that, 213-3065.
Joe, you're breaking up. Okay, you need to go back a sentence or two.
All right, let's go back. You are taking public.
Yeah, we couldn't hear the last 2 or 3 sentences. They're very choppy.
Okay. We are taking public comment telephonically. So I can only get it right once, so when you got to go back, it's very complicated. We are taking public comment telephonically. Members of the public wishing to call in and offer public comment may call 213-306-3065. Let me repeat that, 213-306-3065. When prompted, please enter meeting number 146-534-5714, followed by the pound sign. Again, that's 146-534-5714, followed by the pound sign. Speakers, you will have 2 minutes per item and 5 minutes for all items cumulatively. When prompted by the moderator, please let us know if you're going to be speaking on general public comment or a specific item. With that, Madam Board Secretary, I turn it back to you for roll.
Commissioners, please say present. Commissioner Berard?
Present.
President Levine?
Present.
Vice President McLean-Hill?
Present.
Commissioner Neiman Brady?
Present.
Commissioner Reyes?
Present.
5 members present and a quorum. Opening of the board meeting by President Levine.
Thank you, Susie. I have no public comment at this time. I'm very anxious to hear my colleagues' comments, and I might want to reserve public comment until after that. But for now, I have no public comment.
Okay. This is Brad. I'm sorry, are we moving to public comment at this time?
Well, yeah, I have no opening remarks. Let's move to public comment.
Excellent. Okay, we'll now commence with the public comment session. I'll begin by announcing the caller number and then the area code and prefix or name. As I mute you, please state your full name and the item you're calling in to discuss. Please be mindful that you have 2 minutes for comment, and we will let you know when you're nearing the end of your time. Beginning at this time, we will do comments. This commenter would prefer to remain anonymous. They are caller ID 7, and they will be discussing an item that is not on the agenda. At this time, I am unmuting the anonymous caller using the area code of 310, prefix 802. You can now speak.
Charges after the 1 year of non-usage of Tier 2.
Can
you please state your comment again?
Sure. I was calling to ask if there is a refund of the Tier 2 charge after 1 year of non-usage of Tier 2 energy.
I still didn't clearly hear the question from the anonymous public commenter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what I can do to make myself heard.
Just a tad louder, I think, will be good. I'm sorry to ask you to speak just a tad louder.
Okay, is this better?
Yes.
All right. I was calling to ask if there is a refund of Tier 2 charges after 1 year of non-usage of Tier 2 energy.
Can I respond to that?
Never call.
I'd like to be able to respond to that since I know we don't have a name and number to get back a hold of you. The bill is based on every month's of usage, and so the tiers are allocated for every month. So in any particular month, if you go into a higher tier for both water and power, you're billed at that higher rate. The subsequent month, if you don't go into those tiers, you're not billed for those rates. And so it is viewed on a month-by-month basis for your usage. And so, it is equated to how much you use in any individual month, whether you're in tier 1 or 2, or in water 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then the next month, if you don't use as much, then you don't go into those tiers. But it is based on that usage per month, and that's how the bills are figured.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm looking at a bill where there is no Tier 2 usage for an entire year, but there is a charge of Tier 2 usage for that entire year. So I'm wondering if after that entire year of no usage, the pattern seems to be there will be no usage, will that charge be refunded for that year or dropped off?
If there's a mistake on the bill or something's unclear, the best thing would be to call our customer service center. And we have service reps that are there 24 hours a day, and they're all very skilled at handling billing questions. So if you called our 800 number, 1-800-DIAL-DWP, LEDWP, and they can assist you if you have a question or if there's something that's incorrect on your bill. Absolutely, we will make it correct.
This will be my last comment. I did speak to them. They did not have an answer at all. And they directed me to you because they said that was something that was going to be determined out of their pay range.
Okay, well, we can make sure it goes up the line. If you're willing to, if I could ask you to call Sharon Grove. She's the manager over all the customer service, and she can look at your number. Sharon, what's the phone number to reach you at?
Great.
Let me give you your phone number here. 213-367-8712. If you would give her a call, let her know your information, she'll look into it herself.
213-367-8712.
That's correct, and her name is Sharon.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thanks for calling today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. There's nobody else waiting to share public comment.
All public comment is now closed.
Okay, as we go to General Manager, I don't know if the others that are on this remotely are having the same problem, but there's a lot of feedback. Marty, there was a lot of feedback on yours and on the speakers. This hasn't happened in prior sessions, but and I don't know if I'm the only one receiving it, but it's challenging to hear because of some kind of static.
I've had some staff comment based on your last concern, and they said they were hearing clearly. I don't know if the other commissioners are having a problem or not. No?
Okay, well let's proceed.
Should we ask him to log back in? Would that be better, or no?
Does he have a phone on or something?
What?
Is he logged in on his phone or computer? Because that makes it
Yes. Yeah. Are you logged in on phone or computer? We're wondering
I'm
if
on
we should.
computer.
he needs to call in on his phone as opposed to
Okay.
the audio.
That sounds better. Yes. Yeah. You might want to try to call in on your phone and then turn your computer audio off. It probably will be clearer. We can take a short recess if that's okay with you, and like we call it technical recess. Is that correct?
Recess, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hold everybody up,
We're okay.
but
Yeah. if you want to dial in, and we'll just take a short recess and let you connect on your phone. then
I'd
it'll be
like to
clear.
change my audio as well, so
Okay.
let's
Why don't we
do that.
take a 5-minute recess? And
I can't call that, so would you like
Okay,
to?
so there'll be a,
So, we're going to take a,
Artie?
I'm sorry, so we're gonna, Mel, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess so that both you and Commissioner Neiman Brady can adjust your audio, and work with technical staff.
Okay.
We'll be back in 5 minutes. And somebody will.
give me a phone number to call. In the event this is complicated, give me a phone number to call.
Okay.
We'll have someone reach out to you right now, Commissioner Levine.
Okay, okay.
Please stand by. We're muting all calls.
Is that muted?
We need a new roll call.
We got to do it again after recess. Just like school.
Who's missing?
Following short recess, we are back in session. Madam Secretary, would you please do a roll call?
Commissioners, please say present. Commissioner Berard,
Present?
President Levine,
Present?
Vice President McLean Hill,
Present.
Commissioner Neiman Brady,
Present.
Commissioner Reyes,
Present.
5 members present and a quorum.
Thank you, Susie. Marty, you're on. Sorry about the delay.
Yep, thank you. I'm glad. I hope your connection's better and you can hear all of us okay. Everybody's okay there? They can hear fine?
Actually, it's finally clear.
Great, thank you. I have just a short variety of things to discuss with the board. First of all, from the standpoint of our providing water and power, everything has been running smoothly in the systems. No particular issues. Interestingly, in power, as we see businesses start to reopen and people start to go back to work, we are seeing a closing of the gap between our projected power sales and and our actual power sales. For the board's knowledge, we actually project every day based on the weather and the day of the week what we would expect that power demand to be, and then we look at the actual. And so this, of course, has an impact on power revenues and our ability to get the work that we need to do in terms of green infrastructure, green power future, and replacing aging infrastructure as well. And so we keep a close eye on that, but it is also a sign of things getting back to some kind of normal, hopefully, and society starting to come back to life and regenerate some economy locally. We did have a 4.4 earthquake in Keeler yesterday. For those of you who've been up to Owens Lake, you'll know that Keeler is that little town on the very east end of the lake. It's been a number of earthquakes in the eastern Sierra, in that general area recently. As you're aware, our aqueduct system goes right through there, and it, of course, is 100+ years old. So anytime there's an earthquake of certain magnitude and location, we always check our facilities, but we do have a number of older facilities in that area. And it also brings to mind why it's important for us to continue to develop local water resources, not just because it's the right thing to do for the environment, but also for resiliency, and so that the city has less reliance on imported water supplies at any given moment. We began this week to take appointments at our customer service centers. We have people who need varying degrees of service that we would normally talk to a customer service rep in one of our centers around the city. We had kind of a soft opening. We'll make a formal announcement later when we know how it's working. Sharon Grove is here. I like to call Sharon up and put her on the spot and just tell us how that worked out. But this is when the COVID pandemic really began to be a concern. We closed all of our service centers where we take a lot of cash payments and other payments from customers. And so while we had staff working behind the scenes there, we were not open to the public. So Sharon, you want to let us know how things stand right now and how that went yesterday?
Yes, thank you very much. Sharon Grove, Customer Service Division. We are very excited to make this offering for customers. We've known that we do have customers, based on our records, that regularly make payments of over $5,000 in cash at our service center. So we knew that we needed to somehow address this gap during the constraints of the pandemic. And so we were able to work with one of our vendors and have a technology where they can sign up for these appointments online. And we have offered it initially to our commercial customers, and the appointments are at only 6 of our customer service centers, and the appointments are given 1 hour apart. And we do all of these things to make sure that we can maintain appropriate protocols while customers come in and make their payments. We hope, if everything goes smoothly, we can increase the frequency, possibly 2 per hour, and open it up to all 14 customer service centers. The feedback from yesterday, our launch day, was very positive. Customers are delighted that they now have this customer channel to make their payments.
Thank you. So unless anyone has a question for Sharon, I will ask her to stay up here and keep her in the hot seat. Sharon's been very involved along with our human resources group and also our public affairs in creating a customer ambassador training program. This is something that came up in one of the strategic planning sessions, and it was a look at how to make our customers, all of our employees, customer ambassadors. And so the idea is that not only do people call into the, to the call centers and our customer service reps know how to deal with the public, but so many of our folks, particularly in the field, may engage the public on a daily basis, whether it's about the job they're doing, or people may come up to them and ask questions. And one of the concerns is how do we get information out to our customers about what the department is doing to our employees, and to expand their knowledge of the department in different areas, and also provide them resources so if somebody asks a question, they can direct the person to how to get an answer. So, Sharon, you want to describe the Customer Ambassador Training Program? This is just ready to roll out now, and I believe the board members, they have a pin, so this is... Yeah. Nice. So if you wear the pin, you'll be obligated to take the training. So, so we'd like to discuss the program and what the plans are for it.
Yes, we would like you to take the training and pass the quiz, and then you've officially earned your pin. So this was the third phase of what we're trying to do is create a very good foundation for a customer culture here at LADWP. We first, and I know the board has experienced, we first launched this Customer Ambassador Spotlight Award where we found a way to highlight all the wonderful things that the joint, the water, and the power systems are doing for customers every day. In fact, we've had people from the water and the power system actually save customers' lives. And so we wanted to have some sort of a recognition where we could highlight, spotlight employees that have done really, really amazing things for customers. The second phase was creating a brand new employee orientation. And so what we do is we give anybody within, really a month of coming into the department gets about 6 hours of training that's solely focused on how they can be a good customer ambassador. So literally, the first type of training they get when they walk in the door is the message that we are a service organization and we are all customer ambassadors. And then this third phase, we realized that all these new employees were getting this message, but none of the existing employees were getting this message. And so we wanted to make it, fun, enjoyable. We got a lot of employees that volunteered to be videoed doing their job in the test labs, in the field, all sorts of really interesting jobs, and everybody talked about how they specifically help the customer. And so with those vignettes, we call them, and a lot of other information that was taken from this new employee orientation, we created about a 20 to 25 minute online training course with a really fun quiz at the end. And if you pass the quiz, the first 3,000 people that pass this quiz get this really wonderful lapel pin that says Customer Ambassador and has our logo. And so we find that doing these three different phases lets everybody sort of understand what it's like to be an employee at LADWP and how we are all, in fact, customer ambassadors.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon's done some remarkable work in regards to our customer service, so thank you very much. The next thing, changing subjects, we were very pleased again to be named as the top solar city in the United States. You may recall that we held the title in 2013, 14, and 15. We lost it to San Diego in 16, and then we got it back in 2017, 18, and then for the year for 2019, we were again named the top U.S. solar city with the most installed solar. We did have a 15% increase in local solar in the last year, and currently have enough rooftop energy in Los Angeles to power 134,000 homes. So that's great work, and certainly the folks in the power system that work on solar, as well as the folks on Nancy Sutley's team that work on rebates and things for the customer installed solar, to be congratulated on helping us stay on top. So it's nice to receive that recognition. The next thing I'd like to call on Ann Santilli. I see Ann. We did bond sales. The board may remember approving bond sales for both water and power in the last I guess, month and a half. And so Mario Ignacio from Ann's crew goes and does the bond sales, and he's a very effective negotiator. And we had some very, very good news, and in spite of potential things like potential wildfire liabilities and concerns about rates and customers' ability to pay and everything that's going on in terms of the economy. At the same time, I think it's a real indicator of confidence in the company. Ann, would you like to tell us about the bond sales?
Yes, Marty, thank you. I just wanted to give an update on June 4th. The department successfully sold $204.5 million of water system revenue bonds. These were going to be used to fund capital improvements, as well as refinance outstanding high coupon debt and prepay several high interest rate state revolving funds. The transaction garnered over $1 billion of orders from institutional investors, which was over 5 times the amount of bonds available for sale. And due to the substantial demand, the interest rate on the bonds was lowered to 4 to 10 basis points, and we sold the bonds for an all-in cost of 3.3%, despite the negative outlook from Fitch Ratings on water. And then on June 18th, 2020, the department successfully sold $433.1 million of power system revenue bonds. These were also used for capital improvements, as well as refinancing previously high coupon debt. This transaction garnered over $1.46 billion of orders from both retail and institutional investors, which was 3.4 times the amount of bonds available for sale. And the refinancing transaction yielded an all-in cost of 2.89%. So despite the negative outlook on water and the downgrade from Fitch Ratings on power, we were able to complete both bond sales successfully. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ann. And so, again, just for those listening to the meeting, I know the board's aware, but when we're able to get good financing on our bonds, that means that our customers' money goes a lot further, and we can invest more in the things that this company needs to do. So that's great. So thank you. Nancy Sutley's online. There's been some questions about the split roll tax measure and what its implications could be for renewable energy in California. This particularly could affect solar installations in the state of California. There's some unintended consequences when that measure was written. Been a lot of discussion in Sacramento about workarounds, but as it's written, it could be extremely detrimental to investment in solar energy in California. Nancy, can you brief us on where we are with the split roll tax measure?
Sure, happy to do that. So the concern was about now the impact on solar of potentially changes to the commercial property, way commercial property taxes are calculated. So the solar industry has been in Sacramento talking, and it's too late to change the actual text of the initiative. So the solar industry has been in Sacramento talking about a potential change in the definition of solar to be personal property rather than commercial property. It appears now that the proponents of the initiative have agreed to support such a change in statute, so it would be done outside of the initiative, but be done in statute. There is apparently agreement from the governor and the Senate support on this language, and there's now an assembly budget trailer bill. So it's possible that this will get resolved by the end of the week. If it doesn't end up in budget trailer bill language, there's always the opportunity to do it as a policy bill. And so the situation in terms of whether this will happen this week is still a little unclear, but there now seems to be a pathway to address this issue, and there seems to be a fair amount of support for moving forward with this statutory fix, and so we continue to both monitor and be engaged in this discussion in Sacramento.
Thank you, Nancy. And Nancy, can you just describe, so if the tax does change and there's not a fix, what it does to the solar providers in California?
Yeah, it will, would have their property reclassified, would have their property classified as commercial property, and therefore they'd be subject to the increases in taxes that would result from the change, commercial property being taken out of Prop 13. And so there isn't a real way to deal with existing contracts and things like that. It would be a cost that would raise the cost of solar significantly, including in some of our existing contracts. So there seems to be a fair amount of interest in resolving this issue. Still some items to button down. So we're hopeful that this change will happen.
Nancy, let me ask you a question. The solar people that had reached out to me and that I've been talking to, reasons I'm not entirely clear on, are very concerned about the statutory approach. I'm not quite sure why, but they did report back literally as this meeting was beginning with the budget trailer that was included, that was passed, that was put in that the Senate intends to vote on, I think, on Thursday. And they're confident that they will get approval by the Senate, and the governor supports the budget trailer language. I gather they're worried if it's not part of the budget trailer, there's less certainty, clearly, that they'll get the result that they want. And if they don't, then they feel that they'll all be forced as an industry to oppose the split roll altogether. Do you know why they are very concerned about the statutory approach rather than the budget approach?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it's mostly they want the certainty that this is going to be addressed now, as opposed to, letting this go through the summer. Obviously, it can be done through a policy bill, but I think the proponents, the sponsors of the initiative, would rather have this issue resolved now rather than having an important industry in California opposing the initiative until this issue is dealt with. So I think it's mostly striking while the iron is hot, and they have the support of the initiative proponents. They have the support of as we understand, the support of the governor's office and the Senate. There is now language in an assembly bill. But until the Assembly actually votes on this, it will not be for sure. And there seems to be, at least there's not an announcement of support from the Speaker of the Assembly, and some indication that they're not entirely comfortable with doing this through a budget trailer bill. So I think it's really about the certainty rather than letting this thing drag out. If you've got all your ducks lined up, why not do this right now and get this issue resolved? And I certainly understand from their perspective having this hanging out there while the legislature will go on recess. There'll be a lot of other things that'll happen related to COVID and other things that that I think they're worried this will just get lost in the shuffle as we get closer to the end of session. So they have this opportunity to get this done in a budget trailer bill, and that seems to be the most expedient and quickest way to get this done.
You know why? They tell me that there's no Democratic opposition to it in the Assembly, but that the Speaker has not agreed to it because someone has reached out to him to try to use this to create leverage on another unrelated matter. Are you familiar with that?
We have heard similar things, and I don't know what to say other than that sounds entirely plausible, and it's not clear what that trade would be. We haven't heard sort of what somebody may be looking for in terms of a trade. don't know for sure that's the reason for the hesitation by the speaker, but we've certainly heard similar things. And I think because there is the option to do it as a policy bill before the end of session, as opposed to a trailer bill that has to be done sort of immediately, that you can always go for that option and have the time to work out whatever these other issues are. So we'll just have to see. The Assembly has votes on Thursday and Friday, and this may get resolved by then. But there is bill language in print, so they can vote on something. Now they have the 72-hour in print, so they do have language in print, so they could vote on it this week.
Let's you and I talk about it afterwards, because I'm being told that if it goes the uncertain statutory route, that the solar industry will feel the need during the interim to oppose the split roll.
Yes, and we've heard similar things. So happy to talk to you more about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Marty, if I just could add just one unrelated item, just for everybody's information, that the council will be on recess for most of July. They will have meetings next week, but then be out till July 28th.
Okay, thanks, Nancy. And lastly, and I believe most importantly, last week the mayor signed his executive directive number 27 about the racial equity in city government. I know there's a very strong interest in this issue from the board and a lot of knowledge on the board. I look very forward to hearing the board's thoughts and inputs today on that. And I'm really looking forward to the board's guidance before we decide how we move forward as a department. If we really want to have a real change and lasting results, we want to make sure that we get off on the right foot and get this done correctly. So I look very forward to the board's comments and anything that you can tell me how you'd like to proceed on this matter. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Now, Susie, why don't you call on each commissioner for commissioner items, comments?
Commissioner Berard? Commissioner Berard, you're pulling item number 11, is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you have any others?
No.
Well, Susie, we're not on pulled items yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Berard, do you have any comments?
Are we on 11?
No, we're on comments. I'm sorry.
Jill, we're on commissioner comments, agenda item 4. Still at the. No, we're not at item.
I jumped ahead. We're on item 4.
Okay. Are we going to be discussing the equity, the comments by the mayor?
If you have comments on those, this would be the time to discuss them.
Okay. Yes, I do, and I think that this is nothing new for our commission. As you remember, Bill Thunderberg and I worked on the equity metrics for quite some time, and then I brought in that we should include the gender equity as well. And I think it's a complicated subject, the whole idea of affirmative action and quotas. And even the Supreme Court has not always agreed on these issues. In some cases, they've said that they are for affirmative action, but not for quotas. And so I wanted to
have a discussion among our board members regarding the mayor's position in his paper regarding affirmative action and how, we feel about it. I think that from my point of view, I'm delighted with our commission and the people that are serving on it. But I want to really discuss what does the mayor really have in mind for affirmative action. And what should the DWP, what should we be doing differently than we have been doing to make sure that we are following the equity metrics that Thunderberg and I worked so hard on?
Commissioner, I believe that we are able to make comments on this matter because it is relates to departmental operations, but since it's not the item that you just raised is not on the agenda, we're not able to discuss it. We can have individual comments, is that right?
That is correct, Vice President.
I think this is the appropriate time for individual comments from each commissioner on this, and then ultimately and presumably soon, soon in the next meetings in a month, we need to find a way to agendize something. So Jill, thank you. And Susie?
Yes. Commissioner McLean Hill?
Thank you. And this time I actually did take the time to write something down, so if you will indulge me. Last Friday, June 19th, was a day celebrated by African Americans and others across the nation, celebrating the emancipation of those who had been enslaved in the United States. Specifically, it commemorates Union Army General Gordon Granger's arrival in Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865, to deliver the news that all slaves in Texas were free. Although President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation had officially outlawed slavery almost 2.5 years earlier, enforcement of the proclamation generally relied on the advance of Union troops. Texas, being the most remote of the slave states, had a low presence of Union troops, and as a result, the enforcement there had been slow and mostly non-existent before General Granger's announcement. So Friday was a special day. Moving forward in Los Angeles, Juneteenth will also be synonymous with Mayor Eric Garcetti stepping forward to make history on his own terms as part of our city's ongoing march toward racial justice. On Friday, I was privileged to be among the Los Angeles City Commissioners present via Zoom as the mayor signed Executive Directive number 27 to advance racial justice and inclusion in every city department. He also named the city's first ever Chief Racial Equity Officer. In his remarks, noting the pain and anger that has manifested itself over these many weeks on our streets and the hunger for change, the mayor took brave and bold steps forward to achieve racial justice, equity, and parity in Los Angeles. In a statement remarkable for its frank honesty, the mayor noted that the work of anti-racism is a daily task, not about what you've done for me yesterday, but what you're doing today and what your vision is for tomorrow. As the author James Baldwin observed, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. In that spirit, the mayor is leading us all in an effort to meet the moment by shining a light, by measuring and holding accountable each and every facet of our city government, both internally and externally, to do the work of justice every single day. The first ever executive directive on racial equity is a vital step forward, and in the words of our mayor, one which is critical to turn this moment of anger and pain into a movement. Among other things, it directs each general manager, head of a department, or an office to designate a racial equity officer. It directs the development by each city department of a comprehensive racial equity plan covering areas which include, but are not limited to, recruitment, hiring, training, retention, promotion, and contracting. Requires the identification of department-specific equity indicators. Establishes a City of Los Angeles Racial Equity Task Force, which will include departmental racial equity officers, and lays the groundwork for the lawful reinstatement of affirmative action in the City of Los Angeles should the California electorate enact ACA 5 to repeal Proposition 209. I am personally grateful for his leadership and proud beyond measure to serve as part of his administration of our government. Talking about race at work is uncomfortable for most people. But for Black people and many people of color, it comes with a very real fear that they will, one, be labeled as angry, or two, that they'll have to quietly listen to racist statements, sometimes uttered in ignorance, sometimes not, and quite frankly, that they might lose their jobs. This is not just a reality somewhere. It's a reality everywhere, including right here, right now, at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. And the burden of having to constantly explain, educate, and tell one's individual story, recounting the biases, be they explicit or implicit, that African Americans navigate with regularity in every aspect of their lives in order to personalize what for many is at best an abstraction, and too often just an irritating reminder of things that they believe have little present-day relevance. It is exhausting. But here we are. And I would be remiss if I were not specific about the areas that I want to see this department lean in on. LADWP must work to create an inclusive, welcoming environment where employees feel valued. LADWP must have focused efforts to increase African American employment in areas and classifications and professions where there's underrepresentation. LADWP must develop a pathway to leadership for African American employees. The glass ceiling for African American employees is very real. One needs simply look around LADWP, or in fact this very dais when we're all seated here, to see the lack of African American representation at senior and executive management levels. The department must engage and partner with its labor organizations throughout this process. Labor has numerous tools at its disposal to reach communities of color that can be leveraged. Labor also has a role to play in contracting DWP services. Any change initiative will fail if labor does not have a seat at the table to help shape the change initiative. Labor itself also needs to shape the statement of principles and policies and not have such policies imposed on its membership without having a voice. Labor should be viewed as an active and engaged partner with DWP partners at senior and executive levels of the organization for this change initiative, and must not be treated as an adversary or in competition over ideas. Companies must commit to equitable spending with African American owned businesses that stand ready to deliver value to our industry and invest in capacity building industry-focused African American small businesses. Additionally, there must be a commitment to support programs which develop small businesses. LADWP must support African American owned businesses and ensure full participation in department contracts. Support African American employment among its contracted service providers. LADWP must support K-12 programs to prepare African American students to enter the workforce. In short, LADWP must provide leadership in renewing our workforce and offering solutions for our communities to address and reverse the impacts of systemic inequities and social, economic, environmental injustices in the city of Los Angeles. I just want to point out, culture eats policy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And in that regard, LADWP must undertake efforts to transform its culture in a way that ensures that all races of employees are welcome in all sectors of LADWP. I want to say that it's not easy being an ally right now for people who are not Black and are confronting and living through this moment. It's not easy being a person of color, and definitely not easy being a Black person in America. All of us at this moment must sit with this uncomfortable feeling. And for those of you who are experiencing it for the very first time, recognize it for what it is. Your privilege to feel discomfort because you've not been living with racism and fear day in and day out. Realize that privilege doesn't make you bad. It gives you a choice. How you use that choice defines the person you choose to be. And how collectively we confront this moment will determine the department and the city that we will be. Marty, as you move forward to address the mayor's executive directive, I urge you to convene inclusive and diverse groups of employees to inform your strategies. I also look forward to a report back to this board at the next meeting with a comprehensive outline of how you intend to move forward addressing this directive, as well as the specific points that I've laid out. With respect to the internal workforce and workforce development issues that I've laid out, I look forward to convening with Commissioner Reyes the Ad Hoc Committee on Workforce and Employment Development to oversee and to work with you and your management team to see that these things become a reality within the department. I know I've spoken for a long time, so I'm going to close this, but I want to say with all sincerity, I appreciate the many, many conversations that I've had with members of this department over the last few weeks, and the conversations that I've had either in person or by email with members of our board. I am encouraged and, in fact, excited by the commitment to meeting the moment, to introspection, to action, and determined to see change. With that, I will be done.
Commissioner Reyes.
Thank you for this opportunity. I too prepared a little bit of my speech today, just looking back at what happened the 2 weeks ago when we first confronted the issue and talked about here at the board about racial inequity. Silence and inaction perpetuate injustice, bias, and racism. Now is the time to address racism, and it requires a commitment to equity and justice. This board is committed to providing environments that promote physical and emotional safety, a welcoming learning environment and culture, and providing equal access and opportunities. But real and sustainable change doesn't happen overnight. We need to lay the groundwork for long-term change across systems. This is why we'll begin with learning through the different decisions of our organization and its policies and processes that have contributed to marginalization internally and externally. The department will be tasked with designing an action plan and setting targets to reduce disparities, but it has to make sure that the right tools are in place for change in the system to take place. We call this leading from the inside out. As leaders for equity, the board shall lead this effort and will hold our leadership accountable for examining, unpacking, and mitigating its own biases and dismantling the policies and structures that hold inequity in place. We might be tempted to rest on the laurels of our organizations, but diversity statesmen and active employee resource groups are not enough. We are talking about transformational change from our own culture of doing business, our behaviors, and our values. We are talking about our own leadership, looking at every issue through a lens of racial justice, acting to end structural racism, and bringing more Black Angelenos and people of color into the halls of government, into the halls of LADWP, the biggest municipal utility in the nation. So what do I like to see? I would like to see DWP set clear goals for improving equity, tracking the progress, and focusing on accountability over time so that strategies can be modified as needed to effectively achieve meaningful results in partnership with labor, community, our employees, and our business partners. For my part, I commit to working closely with you, Marty, on the guidance on specifics of the action plan, drawing upon my own experience and continuing journey here at DWP. We can talk about leadership and mentorship, internships, entry points to the decision making, recruitment and promotion of Black and people of color and women in managerial roles, the equity and low-income programs, contracts, and most especially culture change. LADWP looks to implementing Mayor Garcetti's executive directive and cooperating with the initiatives put forward, including the study of racial disparities in the city's hiring, promotion, and contracting to gain a deeper understanding of the impacts of these inequities and inform the ability for us to set policy priorities. It's really great because it builds on the mayor's long-standing dedication to strengthening gender equity and opening the doors of opportunity to women, veterans, people of color, and all Angelenos. And for these, I'm personally grateful and appreciative. Vice President and Commissioner McLean-Hill said it well and thoughtfully. But no one has the perfect words to address atrocities in our society. It is the leader's responsibility to try conveying the care, the humility, and concern for all employees, but especially the targeted groups. As Desmond Tutu once said, if you are neutral in the situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. The idea that this work before us is new and adds another layer of consciousness is not acceptable, because new doesn't always mean it's too hard to handle. It's just different. New is just different. Now is the beginning of being different. Thank you.
Commissioner Neiman Brady.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Cynthia, I cannot say how powerful your comments were with enough strength. They were thoughtful, compassionate, empathetic, and most importantly, hopeful. And so I thank you for making them for all of our benefit and for sharing your perspective and leadership with us. I look forward to following you and being alongside of you through this journey. I also applaud the mayor's executive directive to study and promote racial equity in the city departments. I am delighted that he named Deputy Mayor Brenda Shockley as LA's first ever Chief Equity Officer. I think that's a fantastic step. And I look forward to working on how LADUP will implement and advance racial equity, inclusion, justice within the organization. But not just within the organization, also through its partners and contractors and community engagement. In particular, I thought it was pretty interesting that we received a packet on supply chain services contracting. It was the quarterly report, and I was flipping through it, and there was nothing noted on supplier diversity. It noted a few things on local factors that are considered, but we need to see not just those elements tracked, but we need much more articulated supplier diversity goals with teeth. And it needs to be part of the responsibilities of LADWP's Racial Equity Officer. Additionally, I have continued to be surprised about the historically low percentage of African American employees at LADWP relative to the population of the city. So in what feels like a broken record for me, I would like to request to get a better understanding of our hiring process, its impediments, and now I also want to add more clearly an assessment on how we can change our hiring practices to improve better representation of our city. I don't know if you, Marty or Linda, have a better timeline on when we can have that, but I continue to want that. And if the city is not going to do their part, we really need to bang on their doors to get that piece going.
If I could respond, yes, we actually had planned it for the second meeting in July, but typically in July we don't have a second, I guess the first meeting in July, the 12th or 14th. So it is planned. We have city personnel lined up to come at our July meeting to be here. And we also have our own part. We're just debating whether to try to do it all at one time or whether to do it in two steps. So we have a chance to think about it and ask additional questions the next time. So, but it is lined up, and Shannon has set up a city personnel department to come here.
I think that's an important first step. Thank you.
That concludes the comments from commissioners. I just want to chime in and echo Nicole's compliments to Cynthia in particular for her very moving and eloquent and powerful and important statement. and compliment Susanna as well for her eloquent and important statement. And with that, we'll go to ratepayer advocate.
Dr. Pickle, we can't hear you.
That's what happens when you double mute.
Double mute means that you can be heard.
We have comments on two items, 11 and 13.
Those are the two that have been pulled.
Okay. And I have on the topic of equity some not so good news and followed by some hopeful news. The investor-owned utilities in California have been doing vendor equity work since the late 80s. I know that because I worked in gas supply at SoCal Gas, purchasing $1 billion of gas every year, and starting in '89, we were required to track the ethnicity of the vendors, and we were able to achieve the soft goals that were put forward on gas supply. And so we're in some ways behind. Equity metrics don't even include commodity items like natural gas or purchases of power. But I think we need to catch up in that area. However, we were able to achieve those goals in gas supply at zero or maybe only a small additional cost. This experience, as far as I can tell, mirrors the experience, not at the initial stage, but shortly thereafter at other utilities. So I think we can accomplish these things, vendor diversity goals, without impacting costs substantially.
If I could add to Fred's comments, I also was having run energy procurement for Southern California Edison. I am also very aware of the work on supplier diversity that all the utilities, the investor-owned utilities, have done, and how ingrained it is in every solicitation and process to review purchasing from a power perspective. I will add one word of caution that we want to be careful that things don't just appear to be sleeves rather than meaningful diversity. I can explain this at another point, but my point is this program has to be carefully assembled to make sure that it is actually creating the type of jobs and access that we are hoping to accomplish.
I agree, and there are other cautions with Commissioner Neiman Brady.
Okay, thank representatives on any neighborhood council resolution or community impact statement filed with the clerk which relate to any agenda item listed or being considered on this agenda for the Water and Power Board.
No community impact statements or formal positions were filed by any neighborhood councils on the items on today's agenda.
Okay, now we go to items pulled, and Commissioner Barad pulled item 11, Commissioner Neiman Brady pulled item 13. There is a desire to defer item 14. Can I have a motion to defer item 14?
So moved.
Second. Favor? Aye. Oh, go ahead, Susie. Call the roll on the deferral motion.
Levine?
Aye.
McLean Hill?
Aye.
Berard?
Aye.
Reyes?
Aye.
Neiman Brady? Neiman Brady?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking I don't know enough, but sure, we can defer it. Aye.
5 ayes.
That leaves undeferred and unpulled items 12, 15, and 16. Is there a motion to approve those?
I move approval of the remainder of the consent calendar.
Second.
Levine,
Aye.
Hill, McLean Hill.
Aye.
Berard,
Aye.
Reyes,
Aye.
Neiman Brady.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, we move to the management report, COVID-19 update.
Thank you. This will be my last regular COVID-19 report. Not that the pandemic is over, but I think we're hitting a bit of a steady state. At least I would hope so at the workforce here. I want to let you know that as of a week ago Monday, all of our field forces went back to 100% strength. We had some of our forces rotating in on a weekly basis, and the reason for that was to make sure that we did not have infections run through our yards and render us unable to take care of critical repair work for both the water and power systems. So we did continue with our work all during the epidemic, but we did make sure that we were protecting our field forces to make sure we had healthy workers. Everyone has returned to full strength at this point. We are social distancing the crews, making sure that they're separate from each other, that they don't intermingle. They have the protective gear that they need and the masks that they need to do their work out in the field safely. And so far we have no issues reported. And I think it's good to have everyone back in full force. And I think people feel like there's some semblance of normal in that regards. In the office area, a week ago Monday, we started returning telecommuters to where folks are coming back to the office either 1 to 2 days per week. That puts us at roughly about this is our regular announcement reminding people to wear their masks.
Morning, JFB. Just a reminder from your friendly security services division. Always keep your mask on when away from your workspace and to practice social distancing. Wash your hands before and after meals. And remember, do not touch your face. Elevators are limited to 2 people per ride. Keep to the right in stairwells and hallways to allow for social distancing. Lastly, before you head home, don't forget to wipe down your workspaces and put on your mask. Thank you for doing your part to help keep you and your coworkers safe. Have a nice day.
That was not a perfectly timed announcement, but it worked out that way. So every day we are reminding people, constant reminder, just, we're trying to change habits, and they only change habits by hearing it all the time. So anyhow, back in the office, we're at working basically so folks are here 1 to 2 days a week, depending on the size of their office and how their workforce and the work area can be spread out. The reason that being that that way people can still continue to telecommute, but we have a greater handle on assigning work, receiving work, people able to see each other and have discussions at a distance in a safe way as necessary. I believe that this is a way we'll be for the summertime. We may be able to add additional days in the office this summer. A lot of it just depends on how this goes. And, we see numbers of infection increasing in the community around us. A lot of that has to do with more testing, but numbers are going up. Our number of positive employees has gone up the same as we're seeing in society around us. To date, we have no one that we understand has gotten sick from anybody else at work. People are getting sick from family members or from being out in the community, but no one's getting sick from other employees at work. So the measures we're taking have been very effective. All the employees are cooperating very well with the wearing of masks and the distancing. People are taking it very seriously. So work continues to be a safe place. We want to keep it that way. But we are entering, I think, a new and sustainable normal at this point. And we'll continue on that path and continue to do what we need to keep the employees safe. And any other updates, I'll just include those in the future as part of my regular general manager's report. If anybody has any questions about what we're doing for COVID response, we'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Marty. Any questions? Comments? Reports, financial services, March.
The March activity report is in your package, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Hearing none. Water, A.
Rich, are you there?
Anselmo?
Oh, Anselmo. Maybe you want to give some of the highlights of the water report, because I was pleased to see there's a whole bunch of good news in there, and it's probably worth sharing with everybody.
Absolutely, Commissioner. This report covers the months of April and May for 2020 for the water system. And we actually had a lot of great things that happened. I know we talked a little bit before about the ambassador and how employees that have actually done great things in the community. One of the things that we highlight in this report for these 2 months is that we had an issue where a hiker actually got stranded and injured close to one of our properties. And some of our staff in our survey group found a person. They were able to summon the fire department and assisted in rescuing this person. So in addition to the great work they do every day, we also have the opportunity to help out the members of the community. We also have done a couple other things that are pretty interesting. The water system has what we call a water system orientation. Typically the orientation, there's 2 of them, and one of them is a one-dayer where every division presents to usually employees that have been here for less than a year or so. It's an opportunity for them to learn what everybody does. Because of COVID, we've had to transition to doing everything online, but we're happy to be able to host one of those classes and provide employees with a little more understanding of what the entire water system does. I believe this class focused on some of the water resources division's responsibilities, but it's something that we've been doing on a regular basis. We also actually have our first lead green associate, who is Esther Lee, who is an architectural associate too in the Water Engineering and Technical Services division. In addition to that, we also participated in a number of forums. Once again, these are online forums. One of them was the Coro Southern California Fellows Program, where Rich Hersick, our Senior Assistant General Manager, as well as other managers, including power system managers, were able to speak to some of the fellows that are participating in this program and give them a better understanding of what it is that we do as professionals here at DMT, and for them to understand the kind of work that can be done. In addition to that, we hosted a virtual advisory roundtable, and this had to do with competitive workforce. And in there, we specifically were talking about some of the opportunities that people would have and what they need to learn to be able to work in certain very specific fields. This particular instance, we talked about for the water system, we talked about treatment operators and the requirements of certification and the education that would allow people to become treatment operators here at DWP. And then the last thing is that we also participated in a career fair that was hosted by the University of California system, and it gave us an opportunity to talk with some of the recruitment office participants and talk about, once again, what it is that it takes to be recruited by DWP. So even though we are in a different type of environment because everything is being done using teleconferencing, we've been able to stay really active in the area of recruitment and in reaching out to the community, explaining what we have to offer, and hopefully enticing people to, in the future, apply for jobs here at DWP. Thank you.
Thank you, Anselmo. Questions? Thanks. RPS, energy storage, and EV for May.
The report is in your packet, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Okay, hearing none. Investment report for the quarter ending March 31st.
The investment is in your packages, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? None. We will go to item 10, approval of the minutes. Plain Hill, Reyes, Neiman, Brady, and I were present. Is there a motion to approve the regular board minutes of June 9th?
Reyes moves to approve.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Levine?
Aye.
McLean Hill?
Aye.
Susanna Reyes?
Aye.
Neiman Brady?
Aye.
4 ayes.
Okay, we move to item 11, which was pulled by Commissioner Barad. Jill, do you want a full report or do you have questions?
I have some questions.
Okay, fire away.
On 2 phones.
Okay, first of all, I want to commend Sharon Grove because she's doing a great job as manager of the customer service center. Well, my question is just to get into more detail about what item 11 what you have in mind. It says that you want to update the descriptions and that some of these are outdated and inaccurate. So I would just like some details as to what is inaccurate and what is outdated. And then what will these new descriptions be that will bring us up to date in customer service?
This is Sharon Grove. Commissioner Barad, I believe I got the gist of your question, and if I don't quite answer it fully, please follow up with additional questions. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about why we updated the CSR DDR. The last CSR DDR was approved in 1980, so we thought it would probably be a good idea. And this process is a very long process. It's a joint labor management process, and we started sometime before I actually arrived at the department, which was prior to 2012. And so through a series of meetings, we decided as a joint labor management group, we were going to update 3 of the DDRs, and those were for the CSR, Customer Service Representative Level A, B, and C. So the reason, there's a variety of reasons why we changed each one of these. There are many, many similarities between I have to commend whoever did this in 1980. They did an amazing job because we could have actually continued to live with this DDR for quite some time. But in the spirit of updated technology and joint labor management, it was a great way to get together and really discuss how this job has really evolved throughout the years. We did create a brand new, version of the CSR, duties description record. There's some, sort of humorous things about the previous. For example, in the Customer Service Representative B level, they referenced microfiche. So obviously that's not in the new version. We also, emphasize that there are additional channels that are required if you become a customer service representative. You might be on the phone, you might be in the office, you might be doing emails. So we sort of updated that language. We got sort of listed various technology vehicles so that it would, as we sat around this table for all these meetings, we wanted to make this good for another 40 years if possible. So we still kept the language pretty general, but we did try to make it, I think, a little more comprehensive about what the job really entails. I think there was some concern that candidates didn't really understand. I always believe, and I always tell them, I believe that the customer service reps are the legs we stand on. And I really think that now these new DDRs reflect just what they do for this department and how amazing and complex their role is. And so I think that it was time to do this. I think it was a good process, and I'm very happy with the results. And I'm sorry, Commissioner, if I didn't quite get everything you asked. If you'd like to ask additional questions, I'd love to answer them.
Let me...
Sharon, when in the report, there's a chart that lists the organization, unit, and class type. Now, who has direct interaction with the ratepayers?
The contact with the ratepayers?
Yes, they do have direct interaction with customers. They're referred to customers, community, ratepayers. There's many types of ways to express, but yes, customer service representatives have constant, daily, numerous interaction with constituents. Was that?
Yeah. Are you saying that? I'm sorry, I have a lot of feedback here.
You're
Are
on
you
two
saying that
phones?
all the people in this chart, on the 2 pages, that everyone has interaction?
Yes. So Sharon, she asked me how many do all these people have interaction with the customers. We actually, how many hundreds of people directly interact with their customers you have? So
Right. So these customer service representatives, in many capacities, they don't just answer phone calls. They do billing work. They do credit and collections work. They work in the customer service centers, and they do remittance work. And there could be instances in any of those jobs where they would have to interact with customers. So it's really nice. It's such a skill set these folks have that any one of them in any of these roles is capable of speaking with customers.
Well, I was glad to hear that you mentioned that the customers come first, and that the culture is customers. And I think today, when so many people have been out of work or those small businesses can't operate, do you think that your staff is sufficiently trained to deal with ratepayers and their financial situation?
Yeah, that's a.
Tell them about the payment plans.
That's a wonderful. Yeah, so we are very. So the question was, are we trained to appropriately deal with customers, especially now as things have really changed a lot. Our customer service representatives go through months and months of training, and then when they leave the training, after about 3 months, 3.5 months, we keep them in their training pod, and so those folks stay together throughout the remainder of their probation. And what we train them to do is create a good customer experience and also help maintain department revenue. And so they have this dual role that they have to balance very carefully, because their job is to help customers, but also help customers pay for their utility services. During this time, they are very well trained on offering customers generous payment plans and payment arrangements and payment extensions. And so we have sent out additional training and additional frequently asked questions to our customer service reps, so they really know how to be able to adjust to our current situation.
I can tell you that we took a tour of the call center last week or the week before, and probably about a third of the customer service reps at that point were actually on the phone with customers setting up payment plans customized for them. So each of these people is capable of directly helping customers and working on their plans.
This is Nancy. If I might add that we've also extended all the payment plans and made them easier for people to use and give them more time and make it easier for them to sign up for them, as well as our customer service representatives provide a lot of information to customers who have financial needs and might qualify for some of our income qualified programs, low-income programs, and other ways that they can get assistance from the department. And then, as you're probably aware, that we're not disconnecting any customers for non-payment till the end of the year.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Very helpful.
If I could, Dieter Fernandez, who heads up our labor relations, is here. Dieter, could you give us just a little background? Because hopefully this will be the first of many DDR changes that the board will see. But I know this is a long process because we're basically trying to update what are in many cases old job descriptions to address new technologies and changes in how we do our work. Could you give just a little background of how this works and how the process works for this?
Sure, thank you. Dieter Fernandez, Director of Labor Relations. So I know that in the month to come, you guys will be getting a good overview from the Personnel Department, because that's pretty much where the classifications start, with the Personnel Department. So every time a new class is created for the City of Los Angeles, starts with the Personnel Department, and they create a class spec, a classification spec. The DDRs, the duty description records, are unique to DWP. So after a class spec is created, and either my office works with the CAO's office and we kind of negotiate with labor kind of a salary for that class, and we may have a range of salaries for a particular class spec that's created by the City of Los Angeles. Sometimes it's a common class that's utilized by all of the City of Los Angeles. In this case, it is a classification that's just for DWP. So what the DDRs are for, and again, they are unique just to DWP, the city, they don't use DDRs, but we negotiate with labor and we look at the class spec and the range of duties, and then we look at the pay levels and we determine what duties for each level. So here we have 3 levels, a A, B, C. So with labor, we negotiate what an A would do, A level, what a B level would do, a C level would do. It all has to stay within the range of the class spec that's approved by the Civil Service Commission. And so our DDRs, they're just kind of a guide, if you will, kind of looking at the various pay levels. We have 342 classifications with the department, and each one has, somewhere between 4 to 5 DDR levels. So as Sharon said, this has been in place since 1980, and it's pretty general because it stays within the class spec, but as technology changes, sometimes we're going to go back to the table. Because we are joint labor management, dealing with 342 classifications and 4 to 5 pay levels each one. They're general enough, but sometimes we do have to go to the table and kind of negotiate. And sometimes it's actually looking at each word or each phrase or each duty, and through the joint labor management process, that can take some time. And so we probably right now are updating probably about 7 or 8 at a time, because that's 7 or 8 committees that we have. This was a long time, and technology changed because the position ended up changing with the upgrades and all of that or whatever. So the pay levels and the DDRs, they're general enough to where we don't always have to go to the table. And the reason we bring it before this board is because we have our annual personnel resolution, and we adopt the DDRs as part of that process. And so it comes back before you so that we can amend the APR.
Thank you.
Brad, did you have comments on this?
Commissioner she's on mute, but she had something else she was adding. Commissioner? Yeah, she was on mute, I'm sorry.
Are you continuing to update the job descriptions that will reflect more accurate duties?
President, are we? Yes, we definitely are. It is one of the main priorities that we try to do with all of our other tasks that we have, but we have about 7 or 8 committees going at this time. You saw probably a few months ago at the beginning of the year, and there should be more coming before you, but it is something that we have prioritized right now.
Okay, thank you.
This is Fred Pickle, and we applaud this effort. When we did a total compensation study with the help of Oliver Wyman and Mercer in 15 and 16, they noted that the DDRs were substantially out of date. Remember, in 1980, word processors were just being introduced to industry, and most typed documents were done on Selectric typewriters and with stenographic dictation. So the world has changed a lot, and we think this is a great effort and encourage it to continue.
Excellent. Is there further discussion, or are we ready for a motion?
I would move adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner
Call the
Levine,
roll. Aye.
McLean Hill,
Aye.
Neiman Brady,
Aye.
Reyes,
Aye.
Berard,
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll move to 13. Brady, do you want a presentation or do you have questions?
So I since requesting this item being pulled, I've gone back and forth with Ann with a whole bunch of questions, and I've gotten actually now to probably the too technical for the broader group discussion. But I think at the end of the day, what I'm interested in hearing is really maybe an overview of the gas procurement market as it currently stands. And I don't think you're probably prepared to do that, but I'm just thinking about how much has changed in the market fundamentals, and I wonder if that informs a different, potentially, strategy for gas hedging going forward. 50% ratably hedged, solely using fixed swaps, just strikes me. It could be the most appropriate path forward, but since so many of the market dynamics have changed, I think it's worth just getting a better. I'd like to hear why that continues to be the best path forward versus options or other hedging, whether you're doing physical or financial, et cetera. So, yeah, that's generally. I don't know if you cover any of that in your presentation, but I think that's where I am currently standing. I'm trying to understand it better.
Our current presentation is really more on what we're requesting for, but I'd be happy to work with Power System to work on the overview of the gas market and bring that back.
Thank you, and I'm eager to hear Fred's comments as well.
Why don't we let Ann go ahead, but I will, as long as we're on the topic, I would add, I think it would be good to hear about the integration of the risk management effort with that procurement, the corporate risk management effort together with that physical procurement.
So our presentation today, if you could go to the next slide, Steve, is basically to talk about why we do hedging. There's volatility in the natural gas prices, and the hedging program has been something that has helped the department stabilize how much money we have to recover through customer bills. The program status, the estimated volumes and expenditures, and then the recommendation. So the next slide gives shows a summary of how natural gas has varied, the volatility going back into the 90s, and then in 2008 when the prices spiked, and then now in 2020, now that gas is much more available, the prices have gone steadily. But when you have this much variability in the cost of natural gas, it can really cause customer rates to fluctuate, and they need more stability for planning purposes. So that's why we believe that the natural gas hedging program helps us achieve that. On the next slide, it's a little background. In 2001, DWP obtained authority from the board for the hedging program to mitigate the impact of natural gas costs. And we manage the exposure to gas prices, and it maintains our financial stability. We do have physical hedges, but we basically use variable fixed rate swaps. So they don't cost us anything, but it locks in the price of the gas. And then on the next slide is basically a summary of how we are hedged right now. So we do have 43% of our current year that we're coming in hedged already. We're going to finish completing those hedging transactions this month, so we're 50% hedged going into 2021. And then what we're asking approval for is the new volume budget so that we can hedge the out years in a programmatic basis so that 2022 will be 50% hedged by the time we complete fiscal year 2021, and then 40% for the following year, 30%, 20%, and 10%. And then on the next slide, by fiscal year, it shows the volume of the amount of gas that we believe we're going to need. And this takes into consideration all of our contracts. So when we look at our retail our retail sales, we do back off the power we expect from Palo Verde, from all of our take-or-pay contracts. We assume 50% energy coming from our renewable programs. So what we do is we say the difference between our expected retail volume and what we have already locked in place, that's the maximum volume of natural gas we would need to use at our own plants to meet all of our retail load. And the expenditure amount is our estimated budget. The $190 million, what was in the approved budget for 2021.
Ann, on the last number there, is that bump in gas in 2025 because of IPP going from coal to gas?
Correct. And that's our current estimate. I know that there's operating committees along with IPP, so that number may be revised as we move forward. But this is our current volume projection, and so what we're asking for is if the board could adopt the resolution that says this is our estimated volume, and then we can take this amount and use it in our hedging authority so we can transact transactions for the remainder of 2022 and then do 10% for 2026.
So if I could just interject, this graph here is interesting just because it shows that our continued pushing down our use of gas. And so we use gas only when we need to. That's where we operate currently. And we'll continue on that trend. Ideally, that number goes towards zero. And so you see an IPP, of course, is getting off coal, going to gas. And then the mitigating factors there will be the faster we can get on hydrogen or a greater percentage of hydrogen, that number will drop as well. But it does show that our use of gas is trending the way we want to for the future.
And that concludes my report.
Fred, do you have comments?
We think this is a reasonable approach, but as Commissioner Neiman Brady said, I think it would be useful to have a discussion before the board on our gas procurement process and the linkages to risk management.
So I have one question. Why 6 years? Is it a range of the number of years that we do on the hedging from 2 to 10 years? But why 6? Because we want to include IPP at the last tranche, the 2025-26?
Well, the first year is shown because that's the next year's budget, and we've actually hedged the 50%. So we're not asking for any approval on that fiscal year. But if you look back, we always do 5 years because our 50% is what we hedge, and we do 10% step down for each year. So 25, 26 is, we present that budgeted amount, that volume, so we can do a 10% hedge.
So it's really the 5 years plus
Okay.
the one, yeah.
Okay, that's why I
Usually
was
looks
like,
kind of funny.
It looks funky. Right.
Yeah.
Other questions, other comments? We ready for a motion?
I motion to approve.
Reyes seconds.
Berard. Levine.
Aye.
McLean Hill.
Aye.
Neiman Brady.
Aye.
Reyes.
Aye.
Commissioner Berard. I believe.
This is Brad. I believe Commissioner Berard has left the meeting.
Thank you. Four ayes.
Okay, it's passed 4-0. That these are open session items. If my colleagues will indulge me for 2 minutes before we go into closed session, I've been thinking about something ever since reviewing the executive directions provided by the mayor. And my thinking really crystallized during Cynthia's very eloquent statement at the beginning of the meeting. And so I want to report that The next meeting, which is now the end of July, is ordinarily the time that we elect officers board. And I want to note that given this time in history and given the executive directive and given the very eloquent comments that Cynthia and Susanna made today, my intent at that meeting is to nominate Cynthia to be president and nominate Susanna to be vice president. I will notify the mayor about this. I can't imagine that he will object, but in light of the fact that my thinking has so clearly crystallized around that in the last hour or so, I wanted to share that with all of you right now. So, council, we may now go into closed session.
So before we recess into closed session, you do have an email that you received from our Arlene Rodriguez that will give you the call-in number for closed session. So we will, if you can call into that number, and if we could reconvene in closed session at, say, 12:05, we'll stay here. They'll call in, and pursuant to California Code Government Code Section 54957.1, we will report any final actions taken in closed session. At this time, we are adjourned in recess.
Very good. In closed session.
Wow.
The mic is still live, just so you know.